Hey guys, how you doing? Again, I've had some requests on topics. So, what do I expect for each kind of grade, and what are the struggles that they typically go through? So, of course, like most academies, we get a lot of white belts, a lot of new people, and so I say to them, I go, just let the first 3 months be a settle-in period for your body. That's pretty much it. Yeah, come in. I wouldn't even bother wrestling and rolling, unless you're like young and athletic, and you've got quite a resilient body already. Then my suggestion, and I don't prevent people from rolling. I mean, if somebody wants to have a go, then I'm welcome. I'll let them get in with one of the higher grades, or with myself, and have like a little very light kind of little wrestle with them if they really want to do that. But typically, we'll run a 1 hour class with no rolling in it, and then we all bow out. So I always say at the end of that bow out process, I always say, look, you've got options, right? So if you want to stay and wrestle, then you can. If you want to drill, then you're welcome to, and I encourage that. If you want to just sit down and watch the guys go about their thing, then that's cool, or you can go home, and that's totally cool too, right? So for the first 3 months or so, then I would literally just see it as a breaking in period for your body. And then once your body's like used to the movements and stuff like that, and you kind of know the names of the positions and sort of have an idea as to where you're going, then after that is probably a good time to start gentle sparring and rolling and stuff like that. So the primary focus from white to blue at my academy is on self-defense, and that's not just like the Helio Gracie stuff. Like, I consider most of what we do self-defense orientated, all the mount escapes, guard passing to a lesser degree. If you get into a street fight, you need to know where to put your hands and what you need to be aware of. So in case someone's trying to kick you in the face, which is the most likely scenario if they're on their back, is they're going to try and keep you away and try and kick you in the face. So learning how to grip your hands and where you can grab on the shins and how you can block the legs and safely get past them to a more dominant position where you can hold them down and kind of negotiate with them, then that's kind of the focus of guard passing. It's not hugely technical. There's not 100 different types of guards. Sometimes we'll let the guys, sometimes we'll have like a play day, for example, where we'll go through a whole bunch of let them play with spider guard and let them play with half guard things and let them experience types of guards just to break up the routine, because I don't want jiu-jitsu to get boring. Every day the warm-up's a little bit different. Sometimes we have quite an extensive warm-up. Some days there's none and it's just all about jiu-jitsu. So I really want training to be fresh and fun, and I don't want there to be any sort of boredom associated with it, because that's the number one reason why people don't want to train, is they get bored. Yeah, it's not fun anymore. So white to blue, huge emphasis on mount escape and control and submissions from the mount. Escaping all the basic positions, but particularly a big focus on standing work. So you understand your balance and how to off balance somebody and when they're trying to off balance you. How to deal with punches, striking, standing on the ground, and a lot of mount work. We do a lot of mount work, and a little bit of side control, a little bit of north-south, a little bit of the other stuff. But for the most part, people on the street are not going to be going to north-south and lying down and all that sort of stuff on you. They might use knee ride, for example, so you have to know how to evade knee ride and prevent it. They're not generally going to be using side control. Yeah, so we do a little bit of work there, but it's mostly the most common stuff. A lot of scarf hold and a lot of mount, because that's what people are going to face in the street, and learning how to use their guard. So if you're the person who's on your back, which is really typical because most of my students would consider themselves victims and not bullies. They're quite passive, hence why they're wanting to learn to defend themselves. And so if you are a more passive individual, you're almost more likely to end up on your back, because you're going to be trying to diffuse the situation while the person's aggressive towards you. So we deal with that a lot. So the big emphasis, white to blue, is predominantly on self-defense and very practical street orientated stuff. Blue belt to purple is really about jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu. So lots of arm lock escapes and choke prevention and escaping more typical jiu-jitsu positions like north-south, like knee ride, side control. A bigger emphasis on guard and the various types of guard, how to pass those various types of guard. So it's the start of jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu, and the primary thing that I'm looking for from blue to purple, and purple belt being the reward for it, is efficiency. Yeah. So combination attacks, combination escapes, everything in combination. It's the combinations that make it really efficient, and that's the big differentiating factor between a purple belt and a blue belt, for example. Yeah. Purple to brown, whilst they've spent the last 5 years or so developing all their favorite stuff. So most purple belts will have like their go-to combinations, right, that they're famous for in the gym. Now they've gone from, like maybe 200 people in the gym, down to like maybe 50 who got their blue belt. Now you're down to like 3 who got their purple belt. So they're one of the early on, they're one of the top guys in the club, other than the coach and a spattering of brown belts maybe. But it's a dark belt, it's a heavy belt, and the characteristics of it make them very dangerous compared to the brown and black belts, right? So the component that makes them the most dangerous is their efficiency through combination, escapes, and attacks. That's what makes it difficult. They're learning to deceive and distract people. So, hey, look at my choke, I got the arm bar, and vice versa. Or while someone's trying to move their way out of a choke, for example, then they set themselves up for a sweep. So lots of combination sweeps and attacks and stuff like that. So that's what I want to see from a purple belt. Purple to brown, I'm asking them to let go of a lot of that. So they've really developed a lot of finely tuned favorite techniques, but they've pretty much ignored a lot of jiu-jitsu, yeah? And so on their journey towards black belt, now they have to go back and start looking around outside of all their favorite stuff at all the other things that they're going to need to be knowledgeable about. They don't have to be like, it's your favorite's going to be your favorites. Yeah, you're going to have your go-to moves and go-to positions. But purple to brown, I want them to break that behavior. I want them to go and look at all the other stuff that's out there, get competent at it, because you're starting to go into a pretty senior role in the club, and you should be able to almost like take over the club and run it if necessary for a short period of time, like if the head coach is away, and you should be able to teach the majority of people the majority of their curriculums. Yeah, like by that point, like purple belt, people still see as like, yeah, he's good, but he's not, he's not the instructor, and so brown belt is getting close to black. In fact, brown to black in most places is a very short journey. So brown belt is a heavy belt. It's basically a warm up to black. And so you better know everything, not just your favorite stuff. Yeah, you'll be a killer at that triangle or omoplata or whatever it is that you've been hunting since you were a blue belt, since you found out that your long legs are really useful. And so you triangle everybody, and that's become your thing in the gym, right? So now you have to like move away from that and start looking at everything else that you need to know. Yeah, right. So that's what I see. The big difference between brown and black is the timing and execution of that. So whereby purple belt is about distraction and attack and combinations and confusion, right? The brown belt will be better able to choose the right technique. So you're not just going to be forcing your favorite technique on people. Brown belt, they should be able to like work outside of that and see everything that's possible and then choose the easiest solution to that, even if it's not their favorite. Yeah, because it'll be easier to do this technique than it is to force the person into your favorite game. Yeah, right? And get out of that one-dimensional thinking that you've been in for the last 5 or 6 years or longer, right? Now as a brown belt, you're starting to see everything available on the field, right? Okay, so maybe in a football thing, it's probably a terrible analogy, but you've got you've got players and you have captains, and typically, I guess the captain has great field vision. He can see what's going on. He can call to different players to move or change positions or sub people in and out and do, like, he's in better control. He can see the whole thing going on. Whereas the players who are not the captain, who don't have that ability, maybe yet, or maybe never, right? They're very good at their position. They're really good at doing it, whatever it happens to be. And that's their specialist thing, right? So that's kind of like a purple belt. Whereas brown belt, for me, the way that I look at it, is someone who is able to see the whole spectrum of techniques available to them and then best choose the one that's appropriate for that situation. Yeah. From there to black, it's about when. It's about timing. It's about when is the right time to execute the right technique in the right situation. So again, not forcing things like the purple belts tend to. Yeah, not driving and forcing and tugging and pulling the person into your favorite game so you can annihilate them with the same thing that you do everybody in the gym. And not the brown belt who's opened up his eyes and who's selecting the techniques, but he could still be forcing it. He could still be choosing the right technique, but trying to employ it at the wrong time. So breathing, I know it might sound silly, but breathing, paying attention to your opponent's breathing and their habits and their movement patterns and stuff like that, that really takes a brown belt from black belt to black belt. Yeah. And even then, black belt is really just a beginning point. Yeah. Where you have a very good grasp of the basics. Yeah. So I know that it's seen as like the be all and end all of jiu-jitsu, but it's really just the beginning. I think I learned more in the couple of years after I got my black belt than in the 10 years it took to get it. And I say the same thing to my students and whenever I do seminars. The main benefit of being a black belt is that you stop trying to get your black belt. Is that you just focus on trying to learn everything, right? And for me personally, I just wanted to go back and perfect everything that was behind me. It wasn't like I wasn't driven on this massive search to find new things. Yeah, is that I was like, wow, like this is huge responsibility on me now to perfect and to really deeply understand everything that led up to black belt so that I can best pass that knowledge on to my students. Yeah. And then, you know, of course I'm always teaching and I'm always being taught. I love going to friends' academies and learning from their instructors and there's a lot of jiu-jitsu out there. It's very, very interesting. Again, if it's too sport orientated and it's not that self-defense orientated, and then it's not really my cup of tea. My cup of tea is really perfecting basics and understanding basic movement better rather than going into some super complicated movement that's unnecessary, that's going to be ineffective in the street anyway. So that's kind of my take on the belts and the way that I see them. White to blue, primarily self-defense orientated and preparation for the street, right? Kind of street readiness, I guess. Blue to purple is combinations and finding efficiency and distraction and efficiency. Brown belt is primarily about moving away from that and opening up your eyes, having more tools available to you and choosing the correct tool, not just trying to hit them with the same hammer you've always had. And then brown to black is about choosing the right time to execute the right technique. Yeah, again, not forcing it, working with the person a lot. You have the skills from purple belt where you can fake them and start getting them to move. And then when you're seeing that movement, when you're able to bait them, then you're able to select the best technique to slot into that situation. And then as the black belt, then you're going to be choosing the right time. Not too early, yeah, not too late, but just at the right time when it's the easiest time to apply it. Anyway, that's my take on the belts. Have a great day, get on the mat, have fun.